Auto Plus Auto Parts Store, 1112 Shelton Avenue, Statesville.
LKN Love Delivered. Show off your love for Lake Norman with unique lake apparel, home decor, and other gifts from LKN Local. Made by locals, for locals. They even hand deliver their quality products to select zip codes. Shop lkn-local.com today.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
Welcome to Thrive Here Live, your inside look at the people, places, and progress that make Huntersville thrive. From local events to business spotlights, we're bringing you the stories that keep our community connected. My name is Jennifer Hunt, and I'm Huntersville's Mayor Pro Tem. I'm a former English teacher who is now a marketing professional at a forestry company in Charlotte. I ran for a seat on the Huntersville Town Board in 2023, and my love of conservation and environmental stewardship brings me here to talk about farmland preservation and conservation in Huntersville and Mecklenburg County. Joining me in the studio today are Daniel Austin and Susan Lurz, two active Huntersville farmers. Daniel is a native of Mecklenburg County and currently lives in Huntersville on a 24-acre farm. Austin Kidd Farm on Jim Kidd Road is a portion of his family's former Century Farm. Since 2015, Daniel has co-managed the operation with his partner Jova Jameson with the goal of providing wholesome, locally grown food to Huntersville's area farmers market. They grow many seasonal fruits, vegetables, and flowers and raise beef, cattle, goats, and laying hens. Daniel graduated from North Mecklenburg High School in 1982. He earned an associate degree in business administration from Central Piedmont Community College while working in the family insulation business, Austin Company, of which he is now president. Daniel has served on the board of directors for the Insulation Contractors Association of America and was also a past president. He currently serves on the board of directors for the Mecklenburg County Farm Bureau. Daniel was appointed to the Mecklenburg Soil and Water Conservation District Supervisory Board in 2023, and he is also a member of the Mecklenburg County Extension Advisory Committee. Susan Lurz is a passionate farm owner and advocate for land preservation in her community. Through her farm, Sweetwater Farms on Beatties Ford Road in Huntersville, she combines sustainable farming practices with a commitment to protecting the land for future generations. Dedicated to preserving the natural beauty of her property, she actively participates in local conservation efforts. In addition to her environmental work, Susan has opened her farm to agritourism, inviting visitors to experience the farm firsthand. Whether it's through tours, hands-on activities, or educational programs, she aims to connect people with the land, fostering a deeper appreciation for agriculture and the importance of preserving rural spaces. Thank you both so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
Daniel, I want to start with you. Tell us more about your family's Century Farm and how long you have been farming in Huntersville.
I grew up on the farm. I lived in East Charlotte, but we spent weekends after school. Then I spent summers helping my grandfather on the dairy farm. So it's kind of in my blood. I had a choice after school as to whether to go into the insulation business with my dad or to go into farming or dairy farming. And I decided 365 days a year, twice a day, cows have to be milked. There's no breaks. So that was one of the factors in deciding to go into the insulation business. So I've been in insulation business for 40 years. I'm no longer president. One correction, I'm not president. I'm a salesperson now, but still working for the same company. So that's kind of how I got into farming. Gardening was always a passion. My family always gardened. We lived in Dilworth and grew to give the vegetables away to our neighbors. It was a way to relieve stress during, after a long day at work. So we just got in the dirt and played with it, and then decided in 2015 when my great uncle had 16 acres and he had no kids, so I had the opportunity to purchase additional land. So that's when we decided to give it a real go at farming.
Great, yeah. Daniel, sometimes I think people are wary of farming operations because they tend to associate poor land management practices that lead to environmental degradation. Can you tell us more about the farming we have in Huntersville and the kinds of practices farmers use?
Yeah, most of the farmers that I know practice, there are still synthetics used in fertilizer for pasture and hay producing, but it's always been about conservation and manure spreaders. You use animal waste to fertilize. Farmers have historically been conservationists.
Absolutely. Susan, let's turn to you now. When did you open Sweetwater Farms, and how did you decide to get involved in agritourism?
Well, back in 2016, that's when I purchased the land over on Beatties Ford Road. I've always been an entrepreneur in the Charlotte area. I have currently a publishing company. I've had food manufacturing companies, so I've been on that side of things for a long time. But when I bought the land, I bought it mainly for myself and my animals, and I adopted a little girl. So I had a nice home going on, but I just knew that the land needed to be more. And at that time, I had written my first novel, which was about a fictional farm called Sweetwater Farms and the lovely family that lived there. And so I thought, as I was walking around my land, I so could bring this fictional farm to life. And I have a passion for social and emotional health. And so when I decided to create Sweetwater Farms, it was based on my first book, but I went to the Town of Huntersville. And I told them my idea that I wanted to open this farm to the public and start with field trips, basically focusing on social and emotional health for the community. And thank goodness Huntersville was behind me. And so we opened in 2017. And then mommy's groups got a hold of me and wanted me to open more days a week and wanted to do season passes. And so it just grew from that in 2017 all the way till we just opened again this week for a new season. And Saturday, we had the biggest day on record. I had almost 700 people out there.
In one day?
In one day.
Wow.
And had room for everybody. Everybody was playing, had a great time. We have lots of activities for the kids. We have 22 different animals. And so the kids are able to just be themselves, have fun, and the families come and enjoy picnicking. And yeah, it's a great time.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. You have 22 or so animals on your farm, right?
Yes.
And so you just talked about how it's well equipped for families to spend time there. What's your favorite part of having young people on the farm? Do you have any favorite interactions with your guests?
Oh, yeah. No, I talk to my guests all the time. And I think like one of my favorite experiences is I saw a young family just yesterday. They were playing in my gardens. The little boy looked to be about 1.5 and just standing up and toddling a little bit, but he was playing in the dirt. And the mother and father were right there with him, helping him with that experience. And so education is, I'm so focused on that for young children so they can grow up in this environment as well. And they just naturally connect to nature. They naturally connect to animals. And so it helps them become healthier as they grow. Not just a little child, but the parents as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's beautiful. I find whenever I get some time outside, I'm in a much better mood, right? Studies show that we are happier when we're in nature.
Absolutely.
Daniel, do you feel the same way?
Absolutely. The stress of business can be overwhelming. Excuse me. But, being able to come and dig in the dirt and give away vegetables after that stressful week, it was just amazing. I mean, it brings you closer to nature. You feel at ease. It's just a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Agreed. All right. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but stay tuned for more on Thrive for Your Life.
Sit tight. We'll be back with more after this on WSIC 105.9, 100.7, 1400 AM. Local starts here.
A ring-back a rain chance as we kick off the new work week. Scattered showers possible mainly around the Charlotte metro and to the south. Some extra clouds and temperatures are cool, only warming up into the mid-50s, although we'll go back down into the mid-30s overnight. Heading into Tuesday, the sunshine comes back, and we'll start warming things up, too, into the mid-70s, and we'll make a run at 80 for the first time this year. By the time we get to Wednesday, that's your forecast on the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The app with Lake Norman deals. The WSIC app is out now, wherever you get your apps.
Here is the WSIC Community Calendar. The Bet on Us Casino Night Fundraiser Gala is almost here. This black tie event, co-hosted by Absolute Hope Foundation and Hope House Foundation of Huntersville, supports local families in need. Join us for an unforgettable evening and learn how these organizations are making a difference in our community. Visit AbsoluteHopeFoundation.com for details. Celebrate St. Patrick's Day weekend on Saturday in downtown Mooresville with Shamrocks and Shenanigans. The event features live music, Irish dancers, a drum and pipe band, food trucks, festival adult beverages, cornhole, and a bar crawl. See you Saturday in downtown Mooresville from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. for Shamrocks and Shenanigans. Saturday night, the 500 Club in Statesville presents live music with Breaking Point Band. You will hear classics from 70s and 80s rock and have a band experience that you won't forget. Enjoy live music at 6 p.m. Saturday at the 500 Club with Breaking Point Band. Come on out and meet the WSIC team on Saturday, March 29th at Snooze Mattress in Cornelius. We will be doing a ticket giveaway, so stop by and sign up. Maybe Merle Fest? We shall see. We are looking forward to meeting you on Saturday, March 29th at Snooze Mattress in Cornelius from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Spring is in the air, and so are outdoor events at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The 2025 calendar already has dates set for the Auto Fair, NHRA, NASCAR, Monster Trucks, Supercross, World of Outlaws, and more. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for season schedules, tickets, and camping information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Merlefest 2025, presented by Window World, returns April 24th through the 27th in Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Hear the Avett Brothers, Bonnie Raitt, The Dead South, Watch House, Wyatt Floors, I'm With Her, Leftover Salmon, The Warren Treaty, The Steel Drivers, and many more. For tickets, visit merlefest.org.
Prioritizing your health is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
All right, we're back with more from the Town of Huntersville on WSIC 105.9, 100.7, 1400 AM. Local starts here.
Welcome back to Thrive Here Live. I'm your host, Jen Hunt, Mayor Pro Tem of Huntersville, and I'm joined by local farmers Daniel Austin and Susan Lurz. We're talking about the importance of preserving farmland and protecting our local food sources. On February 17th, the three of us attended a farmland preservation event at Sweetwater Farms, and we were joined by representatives from Mecklenburg County, including County Commissioner Elaine Powell, Soil and Water Conservation District Board Chair Barb Bleiweiss, folks from the State Agricultural Office, Land Trust, and local farmers. Daniel, can you tell us how many people attended the event and what the goal was?
We had about 30 people. It was a good turnout, I thought, for our first round. I hope we can have more. We had local farmers, and like you said, we had experts in land conservation, the North Carolina Department of Agriculture. So it was well attended, and I think we sparked some really good interest in preservation, especially from the local farmers that some had never visited and some had looked at it in the past and hadn't really done anything with it. So I think there's renewed interest too. Excellent. Daniel, why do you think farmland preservation is so important in Huntersville and Mecklenburg County? Well, if we don't have food, farms, we don't have food. Local food became even more important during COVID. The grocery stores were empty, shelves everywhere, the meat was out, people were panicking. And local food was sometimes the only thing you could find if there was enough of it, which there wasn't. So we had the grocery, when the stores were empty, everybody's calling, do you have a cow for sale? Do you have a half a beef? Do you have and I had a steer ready to go to market, but there was no one who could take it. Everybody was backed up. My local butcher or slaughterhouse in Concord was 18 months behind, so I had to send that one to the sale and then wait another 6 or 8 months before I could get another one ready. Ended up taking the next one up all the way to North Wilkesboro for processing. So that was a long drive. So local really needs to happen. And if we don't save some of the farmland, where are you going to get your local food? We can't depend on outside sources all the time. Right, absolutely.
Susan, what are some of the biggest threats to farmland in our area, and what are some challenges you face as a farmer?
Um, I call my farm an oasis just because I seem to be right in the middle of a lot of housing developments. And I'll still go outside early in the morning with my cup of coffee on my porch and listen to my rooster crow. But then I look to the left and there's a huge crane that I now see above the tree line because they're putting in more houses very close to me. So for me, it's a struggle always. Just in my mind, it's stressful to know that more building is coming. And I understand why it's necessary in progress, and we have so many folks moving into the communities constantly. We have a lovely area. Why wouldn't they? But nonetheless, it's a constant worry for me. I'm trying to get more farmland on either side of me so that I can enlarge my oasis. However, it is a constant worry that am I making too much noise for my neighbors? Am I, is my tractor being too loud? I've got, I'm very aware of all of my neighbors, and especially when I moved in back in 2016 and I wanted to start Sweetwater Farms, I did talk to all my neighbors and told them what I plan to do, but we close at 2:00 during the week and 5:00 on Saturday and Sunday, and I never go overtime. I'm very aware. So I'm trying to live within the environment that is growing up all around me.
Yeah. Since you mentioned it, I wanted to share one thing from that night that really stood out to me was, as the town of Huntersville and elected officials, there are things that we can do to ensure that we aren't forcing farmers to shut down their operations based on some of the things that you shared, like rezoning, ordinance changes, et cetera. Can you tell me some more about what stood out to you at the farmland preservation event, or some discussions that were had that resonated with you?
Yeah, there were several facts that I didn't even know. One of the state representative for farmland preservation said that in our state we're losing 50 acres a day of farmland. That struck me. When Elaine Powell spoke, the commissioner from Mecklenburg County, she said, though, that in Mecklenburg County we are putting a lot more money towards the effort of preserving green space. And, that was huge to me. I'm like, oh, the county's really working hard. But I have to say, the town of Huntersville is working so hard. As a business owner, but also a woman who wants to preserve not just farmland, but that lifestyle and have an area where my community can come and be at peace. Huntersville is helping me like crazy. And I call the city planners all the time, and they walk me through the way I should do things. So we are working together, the state, the county, and the town of Huntersville, where I live.
Yeah. It's great to have that meaningful partnership between all the different groups. Yeah. Daniel, what would you say to other farmers who are interested in learning more about conservation or agricultural easements? What advice would you have for them?
I would say get the information, talk to the representatives, the land trust. You have to talk with your family to see if it's right for you. It's not right for every family. There are times when it's their biggest asset and their only retirement. So that you can't blame them for selling. But it's important to keep some of the space, as green space. And Mecklenburg Parks and Rec has done a great job. They, as Commissioner Powell said, they've allocated $50 million each of the last 3 years for purchasing of undeveloped land. Parks and Rec can't do it all, but that's a great start. And I think the future generations are going to look at that and say, wow, they did a good job there.
Yeah. Let's back up for a second. Can you explain what a conservation easement is and what an agricultural easement is?
So a conservation easement it's a tool to put leave the land in as a open space or in farming indefinitely. Now there's the voluntary agriculture district that we'll talk about later is just what it says. It's voluntary, but an easement will put a permanent and it'll be recorded in the deeds with the county, and it's a permanent easement, so you cannot develop it. You can pull out a plot for a homestead or two, and all that's in the agreement going in, but the land trust hold the easement, and it will remain in farmland or open land indefinitely.
Right, right. Sure. So this is obviously a topic of interest for Huntersville residents. And like you pointed out, Susan, it's crucial to have these open spaces for all number of reasons. So what could community members and farmers do or to get involved in supporting preservation efforts? What do you think are some things that people could do to share that this is a priority?
Well, I think, like doing a show like this today is fantastic because we're getting the word out that Mecklenburg County, Huntersville, Cornelius-Davidson, we're all in this to preserve farmland. So if you have an interest at all in getting into farming, getting into gardening, growing flowers, get in touch with one of us. Call the county, call the extension service, because, we're working hard to preserve this farmland, but we need more folks to get involved too. It helps immensely to grow an effort like this, so to speak, to have more folks involved. We have a good core group of government officials getting involved and us farmers that really care about it. But, if you have an interest in getting 10 acres, 15 acres, contact one of us. If you want to know how to start agritourism, feel free to contact me, at Sweetwater Farms. I'll be more than happy to talk with you about how to get into this business. I've had so many folks come to the farm and want to franchise what I do at Sweetwater Farms, which is great. So at any rate, just get in touch with us, the Extension Service, Mecklenburg County, or the Town of Huntersville. They know how to put you in touch with us.
Yeah. I love what you just touched on there, which is like this big sense of camaraderie between the farmers. Daniel, can you talk a little bit about that too?
But farming is in North Mecklenburg. Farming's been here forever, and we're losing it fast. We got 7,000 acres of farmland left in Mecklenburg, and our goal is to save as much of that as possible. And it's a team effort. It's going to take elected officials. It's going to take the Department of Agriculture, the landowners, and it's a big group effort to try to save some of what's left because it's what makes our quality of life so good here. If we don't have open land, what do we stay inside and watch TV all day? That's not good. We need our animals and our dirt and our spaces and our forest, to stay that way. And also riparian buffers to help filter water, in our watershed. There's so many factors that go into having some open space left.
Definitely. Susan, can you add on to that too?
Well, it's this farming world is it's special. It's got deep roots, and it's not just those of us that are doing the farming, but I was thinking about one of my customers last year that came to go out my strawberry field and do you pick strawberries. And he was telling me how as a child, his grandmother always took him out to do that. And she had passed away, but he was going to be bringing his grandchildren out to my farm. So it goes not just from the farmer, but on to the families that we touch.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as an elected official, I would love to hear not just these stories, but also the stories from the residents and the people who are having these experiences on your farm and prioritizing that and saying, hey, this is something that's really meaningful to me. I like having access to these spaces. All right, we're going to take a brief commercial break, but we'll be right back for more Thrive Here Live.
Sit tight. We'll be back with more after this on WSIC 105.9, 100.7, 1400 AM. Local starts here.
A bring back a rain chance as we kick off the new work week. Scattered showers possible mainly around the Charlotte metro and to the south. Some extra clouds and temperatures are cool, only warming up into the mid-50s, although we'll go back down into the mid-30s overnight. Heading into Tuesday, the sunshine comes back, and we'll start warming things up, too, into the mid-70s, and we'll make a run at 80 for the first time this year. By the time we get to Wednesday, that's your forecast on the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Johnson's Parts and Supply, your Auto Plus Auto Parts store, carries Wagner brakes as well as gates, belts, and hoses. They also make their own hydraulic hoses. Johnson's Auto Parts, your Auto Plus Auto Parts store, 1112 Shelton Avenue, Statesville.
Hi, this is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
Year in specials, Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville. How about this for a bargain? 2024 Chevrolet Equinoxes. These are the LT models as low as $22,770. We have got over 25 of these vehicles in stock. You pick the color, drive it home today. That is a Randy Marion Chevrolet Statesville special. Again, $22,770. Only a couple thousand miles on these vehicles. Come see them today. Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville.
Craving a taste of Italy? At Palmadora's, we serve up scratch-made comfort with every bite. From our hand-tossed pizzas to classic pasta dishes, it's the perfect place to gather your family or just treat yourself. Visit Palmadoras.com for menus and hours. Your table's waiting.
It ain't easy being number one, but we make it look good.
WSIC.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. When the pandemic hit almost exactly 5 years ago and restaurant dining rooms closed down, many who had theretofore dined inside restaurants switched to takeout, and they haven't switched back. New research from the Chicago Fed Bank finds significant drops in the amount of time customers across the country spend in restaurants, including a jump in those visiting for 10 minutes or fewer, mostly to pick up their food. It's resulted in a 15% increase in productivity at restaurants, as even half-filled dining rooms can lead to good business. Not so good on Wall Street so far. All three major indexes down 1% or worse. Dow losing 1%, S&P 500 down 2%, NASDAQ down 3%, with the number of losing stocks outnumbering winners more than 2 to 1. Amid anxiety that tariffs and government firings will lead to economic slowness, perhaps even recession, extending a 3-week stretch of market volatility. Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Radio.
The button pushing stops here.
WSIC. Local starts here.
All right, we're back with more from the Town of Huntersville on WSIC 105.9, 100.7, 1400 AM. Local starts here.
Welcome back to Thrive Here Live. I'm your host, Jen Hunt, Mayor Pro Tem of Huntersville, and I'm joined by local farmers Daniel Austin and Susan Lurz. We're talking about the importance of preserving farmland and an upcoming ordinance that could be approved by the County Board of Commissioners. That is going to be a voluntary agricultural district ordinance, or a VAD. Daniel, can you explain what that is and why it matters for local farmers?
The VAD, or Voluntary Agriculture Districts, it's an ordinance by the state legislature, and the county approves it, and it creates a program to help identify the farms, and it's a sense of pride that yes, I'm a VAD. There are 91 VADs in 100 out of 100 counties, and Mecklenburg hopefully will be the next within the next month or so. We got our fingers crossed. It creates a advisory board for agriculture, so it gives a voice at the table, so to say. And the commissioners, we report to the commissioners. So it's exciting that it's been worked on for years. I think since 16 or 17, Barbara Blywise and a whole group of people have been working on this. So it's taken a long time to get here, and it's impressive of their persistence and getting to this point. So we're getting really close.
For sure. Now, when you say it brings farmers or gives farmers a seat at the table, what do you mean by that exactly?
Well, the advisory board will consist of farmers, and the farmers will advise the county commissioners on agriculture issues, which it brings more light, and they can use our advice in policies if they choose, and help the farmers. So it's a big deal.
Absolutely, yeah. Susan, what benefits will the VAD bring to our county, in your opinion?
I think the awareness. For me, that's a number one thing that there's neighborhoods going in all around me. It's for everybody to know that I'm here. and that I am growing, and I am, meaning strawberries, pumpkins, now getting into more vegetable production. I'm like a boutique farm, but and I say that because I might grow, like, instead of 6 acres of strawberries, I grow one, but it's enough for my customers to go out there and do you pick. But I think that awareness it's huge for me as a little grower, that folks know they can come to my farmer's market, they can come to my pumpkin patch or pick strawberries, and I'm right here in their backyard. And I want them to want to protect me as much as I want to protect the farmland that I'm on.
Right.
So to me, it'd be a group effort. That VAD would give me the awareness in the community that I need for that protection.
Right. So do you think that the VAD will help protect farmland from those developmental pressures that you're facing?
Somewhat. I think they're going to, a lot of them are going to happen anyway, because those that are in construction want to do what they're doing. They want to develop. That's what they do. And so, but I think that if the community wants to protect us more so, then that's going to put more pressure on development. And so I just feel like the VAD, like for me, I would do the VAD. I want to get more land and then put it under the ordinance, because I can put up signage. I can put up this for more awareness of what's going on. I can put that on my website that we're protected. This is land that needs preservation, and it will lift it. It will lift it. And so if that's all I can do at this point, then that's what I want to do, whatever I can do. Because, at my age, I'm getting older. I'm one of those older farmers that I might have just gotten into it a few years ago, but, the average age of a farmer in the country is like 60, so we have to think about our longevity and the protection of the land moving forward. And this is the first step I can take. And if there are more easements that come along, do them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I just heard you say a little bit is like succession planning, right? Daniel, can you chime in here about the importance of succession planning and farming?
Yeah, sure. The VAD is the first step in the easement. So if you get on the VAD, Voluntary Agriculture District, there's a triangle that goes up to a permanent easement, and that step is important. And we'll get, hopefully, I'm with Susan. I'd love to eventually get a permanent easement. And I'm sorry, what was that?
No problem. The importance of succession planning.
Succession planning, correct. Yeah. And that's a touchy situation with a lot of families, because if you have, the more family members you have, the more difficult it gets. But succession planning is, you might have 4 kids and 2 want to sell and 2 want to keep it, and it's everybody has different needs. But if you get the right the right documents in place and the right planning, the attorney, and you can do it the right way, and everybody can be happy. It's tough to see them divided up, and that often happens in family. But I don't have kids, so I don't have to worry about quite as much. So I can make the decisions, and everybody have to be happy with it. Everybody doesn't have that luxury.
Sure. What incentives or protections does the VAD provide for farmers? Susan, can you chime in about that?
Yeah, the main one that I look at right now, because, and Daniel can answer more of that, is like I said a minute ago, is just the awareness. And I can put up signage in front of my property, showing that I have the VAD in place. This is a voluntary agriculture district right here, so it goes. There's a little bit more protection, going into the GIS system as a marked voluntary agriculture district. So those kind of protections are great for me right now. But like I say, I want to look at what the future is going to hold and see if I can't get more in place for my property.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And so when you mentioned the GIS, correct me if I'm wrong, but it will show people around you, like, there is an active farming operation taking place here, right? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, and again, I'll refer back to Daniel, but it's my understanding that I get certain rights as far as operating my machinery. You know, as long as I'm running my farm the same way I always have run it, then if a neighborhood goes up and there are complaints, then, well, I'm sorry, I have a VAD. I can do what I do. And yeah, Daniel, was there?
Yeah, the GIS system, it'll notify potential developers that there's a farm within a half mile, and it's targeted for construction. So that's one of the benefits, and it also gives the farmer a right to public hearings, assuming there's condemnation, a road or a pipeline or something. There, you have a right to a hearing to say, well, hold on, I'm a working farm. Let's stop and see if there's another alternative. And the advisory board will submit written findings to the decision-making body and the agency proposing the acquisition. So in that way, it'll maybe help protect it from being taken up by development, whether it's roads or public utilities, which is great. It also, like Susan said, it will protect against nuisance. It could protect against nuisance suits. So if I've got 500 chickens and I have a neighbor that says your chickens stink, well, chickens might stink a little bit, not terribly, but so I could, this farm is here, is good for the public. We need to talk about that a little more. It's not a golden bullet and say nobody can sue you, but it does give you that right. And it also helps farmers qualify for funding for easements eventually, which, that you get extra points. They have a point system. And if I decide I want to go from a VAD to a permanent easement, then I'll have extra points because I'm already in the VAD.
Right. And easements are great because, like you mentioned earlier, it protects the land in perpetuity. But sometimes it's a better financial deal for a farmer to sell to a developer instead of preserving the land. There are some tax benefits, right? If you choose to engage in a conservation easement, is that right, Daniel?
Correct. Yeah. So the tax, your land will be taxed on it's sort of like present use value, except it's taxed on a lower rate based on taking out the development cost. So you would receive maybe more money with the developer. So the difference in that development value versus the present use value is lower, so you get lower tax rate.
Right.
Because the value of the property is reduced by the amount of the development rights.
Right. Okay. So, Susan, you kind of mentioned this already, but you said that you would participate in the VAD. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Right.
Okay. And Daniel, what about you?
Absolutely. I don't see any reason not to.
Right.
And again, it's voluntary, so you can get out with a written notice. Either party can withdraw. So it's a no-brainer for me, and the pride that comes with. Okay,
Absolutely.
I have a sign. I'm a real farm. I'm a bona fide farm.
That's a bona fide farm.
Yeah,
exactly what we are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really quick, can you clarify what a bona fide farm is?
And again, I'll defer to Daniel, but a working farm in North Carolina, growing vegetables, fruits, and then growing livestock as well, forestry. So Daniel.
Yeah, so crops, horticulture, forestry, poultry, dairy, agritourism, vegetables is all bona fide farm, and you can prove it one of several ways. In a PUV status, you can prove deferred tax.
Sales.
Yes, sales tax exemption.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Daniel. Great. We're going to take a brief commercial break, but we'll be right back.
Sit tight. We'll be back with more after this on WSIC 105.9, 100.7, 1400 AM. Local starts here.
We're bringing back a rain chance as we kick off the new work week. Scattered showers possible mainly around the Charlotte metro and to the south. Some extra clouds and temperatures are cool, only warming up into the mid-50s, although we'll go back down into the mid-30s overnight. Heading into Tuesday, the sunshine comes back, and we'll start warming things up, too, into the mid-70s, and we'll make a run at 80 for the first time this year. By the time we get to Wednesday, that's your forecast on the WSIC Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is the WSIC Community Calendar. The Bet on Us Casino Night Fundraiser Gala is almost here. This black tie event, co-hosted by Absolute Hope Foundation and Hope House Foundation of Huntersville, supports local families in need. Join us for an unforgettable evening and learn how these organizations are making a difference in our community. Visit AbsoluteHopeFoundation.com for details. Celebrate St. Patrick's Day weekend on Saturday in downtown Mooresville with Shamrocks and Shenanigans. The event features live music, Irish dancers, a drum and pipe band, food trucks, festival adult beverages, cornhole, and a bar crawl. See you Saturday in downtown Mooresville from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. for Shamrocks and Shenanigans. Saturday night, the 500 Club in Statesville presents live music with Breaking Point Band. You will hear classics from 70s and 80s rock and have a band experience that you won't forget. Enjoy live music at 6 p.m. Saturday at the 500 Club with Breaking Point Band. Come on out and meet the WSIC team on Saturday, March 29th at Snooze Mattress in Cornelius. We will be doing a ticket giveaway, so stop by and sign up. Maybe Merle Fest. We shall see. We are looking forward to meeting you on Saturday, March 29th at Snooze Mattress in Cornelius from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Spring is in the air, and so are outdoor events at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The 2025 calendar already has dates set for the Auto Fair, NHRA, NASCAR, Monster Trucks, Supercross, World of Outlaws, and more. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for season schedules, tickets, and camping information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Merlefest 2025, presented by Window World, returns April 24th through the 27th in Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Hear the Avett Brothers, Bonnie Raitt, The Dead South, Watch House, Wyatt Flores, I'm With Her, Leftover Salmon, The Warren Treaty, The Steel Drivers, and many more. For tickets, visit merlefest.org.
All right, we're back with more from the Town of Huntersville on WSIC 105.9, 100.7, 1400 AM. Local starts here.
Thrive Here Live. I'm your host, Jen Hunt, Mayor Pro Tem of Huntersville, and I'm joined by local farmers Daniel Austin and Susan Lurz. We're talking about preserving farmland, the Voluntary Agricultural District, or VAD ordinance, and conservation. So looking ahead, what are the next steps to ensure farmland preservation continues to be a priority in our community? Daniel, let's start with you.
Well, I'd like to see Mecklenburg County and the municipalities get more involved with it, and there's several ways they can do that. They can help fund some of the easements. It's all about dollars, and farmland preservation is no exception. Some counties have taken the 3-year rollback from present use value, because if you sell a farm and you're on present use value, 3 years of that deferred taxes has to go back to the county. Many counties have taken that and used it for farmland preservation funds. So it's for farming going back to preservation. And I think that's an important step, is getting everybody on board. Like you said, it's a team effort. It takes more than the landowner, more than the county. It takes a big team, this is all the way to the state and federal level.
Right. What do you think about that, Susan?
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing going forward. I always look at the past to see how things have been operating, to know where we're going in the future and what we need. When I started my farm in 2017, being a bona fide farm was like unheard of. I didn't really know what that meant. And the town of Huntersville helped me immensely to figure that out. And because I wanted to do educational field trips, they actually added that to the bona fide farm ordinance for the state, so to get me in. And so in the 8 years since then, it's been an amazing thing to me to see how even the term agritourism has come up, or ag entertainment has come up, where it wasn't a term before. I never knew it. So to move forward, it feels like we are coming together in all areas, Huntersville, the state, the county. It's amazing to me to watch where it's come from, and now moving forward into the future. It's the count. I feel like as a farmer, we have help. You know, everybody wants to help moving forward. And the VAD ordinance is a beginning point for us to know that we're being recognized as a valuable resource in our community of what we're providing, what services we're providing. And so moving forward, I have full faith that people and all the entities are going to be pulling together even more because they see the value in it all. That's why we're here today.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't have thought we'd be here 8 years ago. Nobody would have known. We were attempting to preserve as much land as we possibly can.
Right. Right, because people look at Mecklenburg County and they see all of the development that's happening. I mean, the state of North Carolina in general is just such a desirable place to be. And so there is so much development, and people probably don't realize, like, we still have a good amount of farmland that we can preserve, and that's super important. Okay.
And we don't get a plaque or a certificate that says you're a bona fide farm. So you have to prove it with a tax PUV certificate, sales tax exemption certificate, or your F1 farm return. So there's no really plaque. So VAD gives you that plaque in front of the farm that says, "Look, I'm a real farm here."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've seen those in other rural parts of the state, for sure. Susan, if you could tell our farmers one thing about the importance of preserving local farmland, what would it be?
That I don't know, you know, when you're farming, literally, I'm in an acre of strawberries and I have 40 rows of strawberries, 200 feet long, and I'm in the middle and I'm trying to make sure every plant is growing. When you're in it like that, you don't think about really what your farm is doing for the county. You know, when you're a farmer and you're in growing and picking like strawberries or pumpkins, no matter what it is, you know, your body aches, you're tired, it's hard work. The stresses of the environment, and is it going to rain? Is the sun going to come out? Is it going to be dry? Is it going to be hot? You know, do I need to put the road covers on the strawberries because it's going to be 20 degrees tonight? Those stressors are, it's hard to be a farmer. And believe me, I'm only, you know, on 13 acres farming. And I know those stressors. We need as farmers to look at, but then what is the beauty we're providing? Not, you know, if you can be out there in the strawberry field and watch your strawberries growing and be connected to the earth and know that you did this. You know, we're out there doing this and providing this food, but then also having people come to your farm, they recognize that. They truly do. So we're providing a huge service. And like I say, anybody who's interested in preserving farmland, get in touch with us because we can help you become that farmer and live that dream that you want to live because the land is still available.
Right.
And we can preserve it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I remember the farmland preservation event. There were some young farmers there. Like there were some younger farmers who are interested in carrying on this tradition in Huntersville. And it's great that they have people like you who can help them and guide them through that process. Susan, you said something that was such a great transition into the next question that I wanted to ask. And I did not give you a warning about this question, but I still want to ask you, what are some things you've learned about life in general from farming? And I can share something that I have in mind from the work that I do and then kind of like buy you a second to think about that. But I think maybe you have a good idea based on what you just said. But so in my time working in forestry, one thing that I've noticed is, you know, sometimes trees go really slowly, right? And sometimes they have more productive years. You know, even if the tree isn't growing quickly, it's still providing all these wonderful things for the environment, whether it's providing oxygen or protecting air and water quality, preventing soil erosion, storing carbon, et cetera. And it's such a beautiful reminder for humans too. Like, even if we aren't always out there accomplishing all the things and whatnot, and we still see this like cyclical nature of trees and recognize that like even they have to take a break sometimes, right? Like there's still that dormant period. And it's okay for me to take a break and know that I still have value as a person with all kinds of potential. And that's one of those things that I've learned just being in forestry for the last couple of years. So who wants to start? What is something that you've learned about life from farming?
So much. So much. It's funny, you mentioned trees. I have lots of trees on my property, and I watch their cycles and what they go through. And I know that the visitors that come to my farm, and we all need the same things, and it's very much like a tree. We need the nutrients that come from whatever it could be, maybe just the fresh air, being in nature. We need those nutrients in our brains and in our bodies to help us grow to be strong and reach the best potential we can have, just like a tree. So I watch my customers come and go, but they're all after the same thing. They just need to feel nourished in whichever way it is. And as a farmer, and especially me, I'm very in tune with what I'm growing, not just in the plants and the fruit that they produce, but healthy children. I'm very aware of that. And so I do provide everything I possibly can for them. But I got to say, and I tell my customers all the time when they tell me how much they enjoy my farm, I'm like, I'm so glad you enjoy it, but it's all for me. It's all for me because I'm healthy. I'm happy. I have a daughter who runs around. She's healthy and happy. And this is my dream. So I tell folks all the time, if they ask me about how do I raise chickens? How do I grow pumpkins? I'm like, if you have a dream, let's talk about it for a second, because that's what I do on my farm. It's first about me and that I'm healthy and happy and I smile all the time. And then I hope to convey that energy to everybody else.
You just conveyed it to me. Awesome. It's beautiful.
Love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
that. Daniel, what about you?
One of the biggest things is that life is really fragile. It sounds cliche, but you have a chicken that dies or a goat that passes, and you realize that it's not just about me. It is me when I get home, like you. This is mine after everybody's gone, but it's just back to nature, back to basics. It helps me center and forget about some of the things going around in the world, that it's truly about what we've been given here, and we need to be really good stewards of the land, and we got to have it for future generations. And the people that, like Susan's guests, a lot of those kids have never experienced any. I mean, they might have a yard, they might be in a condo, but they've never experienced nature like she's able to show them. So it's about getting back to basics to me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And like just the idea of you're sustaining life in all these various forms on your farms, and that is such a great thing to illustrate to your guests, to the community. Any final thoughts?
I love what I do, and I thank you so much for having us here today to move this forward, this way of life, this preservation. It's not just preserving the land itself, the soil, the dirt. It is preserving a way of life, that so many people need.
Yeah. Daniel?
Well, according to the American Farmland Trust, farms under threat in North Carolina, we're projected to lose 1.2 million acres of farmland by 2040. We're only behind Texas. So this is an urgent need, and people need to get excited about it, and we need to protect our open spaces, our farmland, our forests, wildlife, and everything that goes along with that, because it's a better way of life, and everybody needs some outdoor space.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you both today. That's a wrap for Thrive Here Live, where community grows, stories unfold, and we thrive together. Until next time, stay connected, stay involved, and keep thriving.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9, 100.7, WSIC, Statesville, Morrisville, North Charlotte.